Alright, today I'm going to be tearing down this steering box further than it already is. I already have the top cover is already off. The bolts here. Additionally, I want to take out this sector shaft and get in here, look all around, inspect everything. I got kind of a mess going here, so I'm going to have to work around some of these engine parts, but that is the plan. So if you look down here, I have the puller on it and putting pressure on this main shaft, and then hopefully these arms are going to pull it this way. I'm going to get this little torch going so that I can heat up some of this metal and then use my persuaders to see if I can break it loose. Man, whoever tightened this. Oh, look at that. Merry Christmas. Got the pitman arm loose. Okay. Ooh, it's a little hot. So, my advice, go and actually get one of these pullers. They're about $20 from Harbor Freight or Advanced. I choose Advanced over AutoZone, sorry. I'm not sponsored, it doesn't matter. Regardless, get one of the real pitman arm pullers. That way you can take out material and these teeth will sit flush with the pitman arm instead of being at an angle like mine were. You want them to be directly on there so that the pressure is getting applied directly on that spline, and then you just got to keep beating it with a hammer, as you saw I was doing. I tried hitting it together to get a dead glow in there. I tried, just tapping around, well, not tapping, hitting forcefully around the areas that I heated. So finally, as you can see, it is loose. So let's move it back up to the bench and keep tearing it down. Alright, I only had this nut on here so that I wasn't, if the puller had bounced, I didn't want it to nick any threads. So I had that on there to where everything was flush. Now there's the pitman arm. Just want to take a look at it. A lot of rust. It's a little hot yet too, so I'm going to place this down here. Okay, now that we have this out, you want to take a look up top here. So come up top. You can see that there's those paws. What I need to do is get this rotated just enough. So I'm going to move that back down. It's hot. So now that should come right out. Losing some fluid. It's not being the most cooperative coming out. So I would advise you don't do what I just did because of impatience. Grab a brass punch. So that if you got a wrap on this, you're hitting the brass, and the brass, once it hits the other metal, is softer, so it'll start to mushroom. It's only being stubborn because of the seals that are in here and the O-rings. There it goes. More fluid's coming out. There will be a day whenever fluid doesn't leak out of this. Oh, it all leaked out of the table, I guess. This is out. I mean, one thing that's really cool about doing all this is a lot of this stuff is from 1972, 1973. And you look at it and you inspect it to see what the wear was like. it makes you wonder, you know, what is the history of this vehicle? How much was it ran? All of those questions can come up. What is the history of this vehicle? How much was it ran? All of those questions can come up. I mean, this thing looks to be in pretty good shape. There's just some surface wear from bearings and where the O-rings were. It'll clean up pretty nicely. Anyway, now since that is out, we're going to have to tackle this snap ring on this side and this nut on this side. So as you can see, it needs a spanner wrench. For the time being, I still just want to I'm going to knock this loose. So I'm going to take a chisel and try and see if I can persuade it along. See there, I got it spun. So I just did a couple taps right above it, try and break out some stuff. I mean, I'll clean this up with a die grinder. I mean, that's not the ideal way to do it, but this is, I passed 2 inches for this nut, and I mean, I'm sure that these can be replaced. So as you can see now, this came off, where sometimes they won't come off altogether. Now I need that spanner wrench to go in here to start getting this twisted. So that's alright. I'll have to wait for that to come in the mail. Now I'm going to set this back here. Turn this around. Okay, and I see this hole here. That's going to be used if you come in here. There's a rusted ring running around this. There's stuff in here, you can't even see it in some sections. But you can take a center punch right here. So I'm going to grab a center punch, I'm going to tap it in, and then catch that snap ring with the screwdriver to pry it out. I punched in here, now you can see it's starting to come out. Now if I want to just try and keep hitting it, or I can come in here and try and pry it loose, but you want to be careful. This is going to come out if you pry it and fly right out, so make sure that you are protected. You can just stop the video. This was that snap ring that I was telling you about. Not much of a snap ring. I mean, I spent quite some time getting it out of there, twisting it using vice grips. But it's out, so, and then I got impatient and I figured, well, what if I use center punches? And lo and behold, it does turn, so I could easily take this out instead of waiting in the mail for my spanner wrench. So let's get this loose. Now that I've spun that loose, I'm going to go ahead and take all this out. So that's our bottom piece here. I'm going to keep all of this together. That's good. Alright, last but not least, I want to pound this piston down to get this cap, aluminum cap out. Well, if the snap ring was any indication on this being difficult, then it's no surprise that this is going to go the same way. Alright, I had to take this, put it down the whole way through here, give it a couple of love taps, and I also, this wasn't on camera earlier, but the worm gear came out. Once I turned it over, a bunch of ball bearings came out, so I was a little impatient, but now I should be able to get this piston to come out. Hopefully, I don't see any other ball bearings come out, so there's that piston. So those ball bearings go, you see in here, they go and they wrap around inside. So I'm going to set that there. And it's fully apart now. You're going to take this to the shop and get it sandblasted. You're doing the blasting.
Obviously.